Welcome to Husband Talking. Explore riveting tales of infidelity with us. Please subscribe and like to stay updated. Let's begin. Let me start with some background about my wife and myself. My name's Jack and I'm 48 years old. My wife's name is Lisa and she's 47. We've been married for 26 years. We have a daughter, Tina, who's in her last year of college. Tina has always been a blessing in our lives. She's going to be a teacher after graduating. I grew up on a farm in a small town in Nebraska. I worked hard on our farm but still found time for sports, rodeos, and dating. After high school, I went to college to study agriculture. I decided I wanted to be a high school ag teacher. My parents didn't have much money, so I worked part-time to help out. During my last year of college, my parents sold the farm and moved to a modest house in town. They got a decent amount for the farm, which became their retirement fund. On their way back from my graduation, they were both killed in a car crash. It was a single-car rollover due to a blowout. Being an only child, I inherited the money from the sale of the farm, around $450,000. I was shocked by the amount since they never told me. The next few months were really tough. I missed my parents dearly, and losing them both at once was heartbreaking. But I eventually worked through my grief and moved forward. In September, I got a job offer to teach agriculture at a high school near Lincoln. I jumped at the opportunity because teaching was my passion, and this job seemed perfect. I also used my inheritance to buy a small 30-acre farm outside of town. I built a modern log cabin, a barn, and a training ring for horses I planned to buy. I also invested in some cattle. While I wasn't actively searching for a wife, I hoped to find someone to share my life with and maybe start a family. About a month into the school year, I met Lisa. My mentor teacher thought we might click, so she set up a date. I was hesitant at first, but I figured, why not? It had been a while since I'd been out. When Lisa opened the door, I was stunned. She was absolutely gorgeous. I knew right then I was going to like this girl. We went out for dinner and had a few drinks at a bar. We talked, laughed, and really hit it off. I felt so at ease with Lisa. We ended up back at her apartment, sitting on her balcony and talking. I asked her why someone as amazing and beautiful as her wasn't married. She replied, "Jack, I was about to ask you the same thing. You're handsome, funny, and witty. Your blue eyes and dark hair make you look so sexy." I blushed and said, "To be honest, Lisa, I've never met anyone I wanted to get serious about. Most of the girls I dated were too flaky or weird. But you're different. You make me feel different." "Well, thanks, Jack. I've had the same experience. Most of the guys I've dated were either idiots or perverts. I've never felt serious about any of them until tonight." We looked at each other and kissed. It wasn't a sloppy French kiss, just a soft, sweet one. We kissed for a while, and then I said, "Lisa, I want to see you again. We don't have to rush, but I want to see where this goes. I want to really get to know you. Jack, you're the sweetest man I've ever met. You're such a gentleman. Most guys would already be trying to get in my pants." I laughed and said, "I'd be lying if I said the thought didn't cross my mind. You're beautiful and sexy, but I respect you too much to rush into anything. I want a relationship, not just a one-night stand." She kissed me again and said, "Me too, Jack. You're one of a kind, and I can't wait to get to know you better." Lisa came from a family without much money, so she went to a vocational school for administrative training. She had been working for a small but successful business in Lincoln. Over the next several months, we got close and fell in love. About 5 weeks after our first date, we first made love. It was a quick, passionate session in the front seat of my truck after we watched a movie with some sex scenes. I'm surprised we made it to the truck. The windows fogged up and the truck rocked. We both reached a climax at the same time. Lisa was incredible, so passionate and loud. We spent the night together at my house, deepening our bond. We grew closer with each passing month and were rarely apart. She moved in with me in April and we were married on July 1st. A little over a year later, Tina was born. The next 26 years were great. We were a happy family, and I felt like we had a good life. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Lisa and I had a great sex life. She never lost her passion, and neither did I. I will admit that in the last 6 months, things slowed down. But I thought the passion was still there, or so I believed. Here's the situation 26 years later. About 6 months ago, Lisa took a new job as an executive assistant for the CEO and owner of Techmasters, a company that manufactures high-end electronics for the government. Her new boss was Greg Williams, a very wealthy man in his late 50s, balding and overweight. I looked like a Greek god next to him. When I asked Lisa about it, she laughed and said, "No one could ever compare to you, baby." She often mentioned how much she loved being with me, and I figured I had nothing to worry about. But then she started going on business trips with him, often for 2 or 3 days at a time. Again, I asked her about it, and she just laughed, saying it was part of her job, and they were busy taking care of business. I still had some concerns, but she gave me no reason to doubt her, so I let it go. That brings us to that Friday. I came home from school and headed to the barn. After about an hour, Lisa drove up. She got out of her car and walked toward the house. I called out, "Hey, baby, I'm almost done here. I'll be in soon to fix us some steaks for supper. I sure missed you." Lisa had been gone for 3 days on another business trip with her boss. She glanced my way, nodded, and walked inside. I walked into the kitchen, grabbed a beer, and asked, "Baby, want a beer or a glass of wine?" "A glass of wine would be nice," she said, still staring at the floor. She hadn't looked at me once. I brought her a glass of wine and set the bottle beside her. She finally looked up at me, and I could tell something was really bothering her. I gave her a kiss and a hug and asked, "Baby, what's wrong? Did something happen on your trip?" Lisa drank her wine in one gulp and poured herself another glass. She took a small sip. "Whoa, darling, take it easy. Tell me what's bothering you. It can't be that bad." "Jack, I have something serious to tell you. Let me say it all before you respond, or I'll lose it." "Okay, baby, tell me what's going on." She drank the rest of her wine and then dropped the bombshell. "Jack, I want you to know I love you with all my heart. What I'm about to say isn't because you're a bad husband, lover, friend, or father. You're the most wonderful man I've ever known. I knew what was coming next was going to change everything. Jack, I'm going to file for divorce. I'm moving out immediately. Your fears about Greg and me are real. We've been having an affair for the past 5 months. He's fallen in love with me and we'll be married as soon as our divorce is final. We'll split everything 50,050, but you'll keep the house, farm, and everything here. I'll only take my clothes and personal stuff." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Go on," I said, surprisingly calm on the outside while seething inside. "I'll file for divorce on irreconcilable differences. We should make this quick and painless." She stopped, probably waiting for me to speak. I had a lot to say. "Lisa, are you in love with Greg? I'm fond of him, and I find him interesting. I'm sure I'll love him in time. Does Greg satisfy you sexually more than I do? Is he a better lover? Were you unhappy with me in bed?" "No, Jack, he doesn't come close. You're a great lover, and I've always been satisfied with you. Then why are you doing this? Why are you breaking up our marriage and family?" "Jack, when I'm nice to Greg, he buys me nice things. He loves me and likes to show his appreciation. He said if I marry him, my life will be easy. I won't have to work, and I'll have anything I want: a fancy car, travel, fine clothes, and dining at fancy restaurants. So, it's about money? You're trading up for a man who makes more money?" "Jack, I'm not a prostitute," she said, starting to cry. "I'm sorry for hurting you, but I have to do this. I can't turn down this chance to be a rich man's wife." "Lisa, you're hurting me. Do you have any idea how this makes me feel? I've worked hard for 26 years to give you everything I could, not just material things. I've given you my love, my affection, my friendship, my heart and soul, everything I have to give. I'm sorry I didn't make enough money to make you truly happy. I apologize for that disappointment in your life. I need to be alone now, so I'll head out to the barn while you pack." I could tell she felt terrible about the whole thing, but she was too focused on her newfound riches to realize just how much pain she was causing. I went to the barn and sat on a bale of hay. Suddenly, I just lost it. I sat there and cried. I hardly ever cry. My father always said men don't cry. I didn't even cry at my parents' funeral. But this time I did cry, and it would be the last time I cried over Lisa. Lisa walked into the barn, saw me, and said, "Oh my God, what have I done? Jack, you never cry. Have I hurt you that much? Oh, Jack, I'm so sorry." "I never meant to hurt you." "Well, Lisa, let's see you come home out of the blue and tell me you're destroying our marriage, breaking up our family, moving out, filing for divorce, and you've been with another man for the last 5 months, and all this because I didn't make enough money. To top it off, you tell me you still love me. But apparently, love doesn't mean anything to you anymore. Jack, I have to go. Greg and I are flying to Paris early tomorrow morning. We'll be there for several days. As soon as I get back, I'll start the divorce so we can get it done quickly. You're in such a hurry to throw away 26 years. Have you thought about what Tina will think? I'm going to call her tonight. She'll understand. Greg has promised to buy her a new BMW and pay off her college loans. He said he'd pay off the loans you took out too. No thanks, Lisa. I can pay off the loans I took out. And I have a feeling Tina won't be bought off like you have been. She gave me a funny look but didn't say anything. You better get going, Lisa. But know this, when you walk out that door, that's it. I will never take you back. This has disaster written all over it, so don't come crying to me later. And be sure to give your sugar daddy a nice goodnight kiss. Maybe he'll take you shopping in Paris. For a moment I thought she might change her mind, but then she said, "Goodbye, Jack. I love you. And I'll miss you." She turned and walked out the door. I softly said, "I love you too, Lisa." I sat down and cried again. Finally, I pulled myself together and said, "Okay, Jack, time to move on." I looked at my two horses and said, "Well, girls, I guess you're the only females left here. I know I can count on you to remain loyal." I rubbed their manes, and they both nodded their heads and nudged me. I walked back up to my empty house and grabbed another beer. About an hour later, Tina called. "Dad, are you okay? I just got off the phone with Mom. Has she lost her mind? What the hell is she thinking? She found herself a sugar daddy and thinks his money will make her happy. I guess I couldn't give her everything she wanted in life. That's nonsense, Dad. She thinks that old creep's money will complete her life. She tried to convince me he'd be a great stepdad. She even said he'd buy me a new car and pay off my college loans. I told her she could shove that car where the sun don't shine." I had to laugh. Thank God my little girl saw this for what it was. I told her not to worry, that I'd survive. We talked for a while, and she made me feel better. She made me promise to call whenever I needed to talk. She completely supported me and said she'd have nothing to do with the sugar daddy. After a few beers, I fell asleep on the couch. I had a restless night, waking up several times with bad dreams. One of the dreams was at the mall. I walked into the women's dressing room and saw Lisa kissing Greg. She looked up, laughed, and kept on kissing him. The next morning, I got a phone call from my old college roommate, Tom. "Hey, roomie," Tom said. We'd kept in touch over the years. Tom worked for the FBI in their fraud division. He was the best man at our wedding and probably my best friend in the world. It had been a couple of months since we last talked. "Hey, Tom, how are you?" I asked. "Pretty good. How about you, Jack?" "Not so good, Tom. Lisa left me yesterday and wants a divorce." "That's kind of why I'm calling, Jack. I'm in town and need to see you right away. I can be there pretty quick if that's okay." "What's this all about, Tom? How could you know Lisa left me yesterday?" "Well, I didn't actually know that. But I have some stuff to share with you, and I think you'll be very interested." "I'll explain when I get there." "Okay, I'll see you soon." What in the world could Tom know about all this? This was getting weird. Revenge hadn't crossed my mind yet, but I had a feeling that was about to change. Tom arrived about 30 minutes later. I handed him a cup of coffee and we sat out on my back deck. It was a nice morning, and Tom commented on how peaceful and beautiful everything was. And he said how sorry he was that my marriage was ending like this. I explained everything to him, but he didn't seem surprised. "Tom, you seem like you already knew about Lisa and Greg." "Jack, what I'm about to tell you is between you and me. I shouldn't be telling you this, but as your friend, I feel like I owe it to you. As far as anyone else is concerned, we never had this conversation, and you can't tell anyone." "Sure, Tom. This sounds serious." "It is, Jack. It's also official business. I'm involved in an investigation concerning Greg Williams. We suspect he's involved in fraud involving his government contracts. We believe he's cheated the government out of millions. If so, he's going down big time. We've been undercover, gathering evidence for months now. Another month or so, and we'll have enough to nail him to the wall." "Wow, Tom, this is great. I hate that jerk. I'd love to see him destroyed. It would serve Lisa right, too. How could she be so stupid leaving me for that prick? And because Lisa is his executive assistant, she became a person of interest in this investigation. Holy cow, Tom. Is Lisa involved in this fraud? We don't think so. We can't find any evidence that she knows about his crimes, but she'll be in for a rude awakening when this all goes down. She thinks she's gaining a wealthy new husband and will live happily ever after. In our surveillance, we discovered Lisa's affair with Greg. I was waiting until I had all the proof. Then I was going to tell you, Jack. I guess her desire for riches led her to do what she did. Tom opened his briefcase and pulled out a large envelope. He handed it to me and said, "Here's plenty of evidence of their affair if you want to use it in your divorce. But remember, you didn't get this from me." I opened the envelope to find pictures, emails, and videos all very explicit, showing the two of them together. There were dates and times on everything. It was tough to look at, but I kept my composure and thanked Tom for what he had done. Funny enough, in all the close-ups of Lisa's face, she didn't seem to be enjoying herself much. I saw a lot of faking on her part. I knew how she acted when she was truly pleased, and I never saw her act like that with me. Another thing, Greg really did have a small package. Tom said he had to get back to work but would be in town for a few more days. He expected D-Day with Greg to be soon. "Tom, why don't we go out to eat tomorrow night? My treat, for all you've done for me." "Sounds great, Jack. My sister Amy is coming to town tomorrow. Would it be okay if she joined us? She's moving here to open a new law firm office. Little Amy? Of course. I haven't seen her since she was a teenager. She's 39 now, Jack, and she's a partner in a corporate law firm. She's beautiful and just finalized her divorce. She caught her husband with his secretary. Maybe you two can compare notes. Maybe we can. I'll see you tomorrow." The next evening, I met Tom and Amy at a local restaurant. Tom wasn't kidding. Amy was gorgeous. She gave me a big hug and a kiss on the cheek. "Wow, Amy, you've grown up. What happened to the little girl with braces and pigtails?" She giggled and said, "I grew up and became a woman. You used to tease me about my braces. What do you think now? I think you turned out to be one of the most beautiful women I've ever met." During dinner, Amy and I talked about my situation. Tom had already filled her in, and we agreed that because of the investigation, we had to keep things quiet. Tom did say I could use the photos and videos in the divorce. I could just say they were obtained by a private investigator. I told them Lisa planned on filing for divorce when she got back from Paris, citing irreconcilable differences. "That's nonsense," Amy said. "You need to launch a preemptive strike. I know a great family lawyer who specializes in adultery divorces. She took my ex-husband to the cleaners. I have her card in my hotel room. We can get started Monday so you can have Lisa served when she gets back." Things were happening fast, but I was very impressed with Amy. I was also wondering if she might be interested in going out with me. Toward the end of dinner, Tom's phone rang. He walked away to take the call, then returned, saying he had to leave. He offered to pay, but I reminded him it was my treat. Amy and I finished our drinks and got ready to leave. She suggested we go dancing. "Sure," I said, "there's a place nearby." We spent the next couple of hours dancing and having a great time. We hit it off and I felt so relaxed and content with her. We went back to the restaurant to pick up her car. She asked me to follow her to her hotel to give me the lawyer's card. I followed her, and when we got to her room, she handed me the card and said, "Call her tomorrow and see if she can see you on Monday. I'll also give her a heads up. She's a good friend of mine, so I'm sure she'll accommodate you. Thanks, Amy. How can I ever repay you?" "How about this?" she said, throwing her arms around me and kissing me passionately. We ended up on the bed, making out like there was no tomorrow. After a few minutes, we paused to catch our breath. "Wow, Amy. I wanted to kiss you from the moment I saw you." "Me too, Jack. You're incredibly handsome and so sexy." We made out some more, our hands roaming a bit, but I stopped and said, "Amy, maybe we should slow down. I don't want to take advantage of you. Jack, I'm a big girl, and I know what I'm doing. If anything, I'm taking advantage of you. I'm so attracted to you, and I hope you're attracted to me." "I am, but I don't want to rush things." "Neither do I," she said, "but I want to see where this goes." We cuddled on the bed, just enjoying being close. It felt comforting to be with her. We woke up the next morning still in each other's arms. I invited her to come to my house for lunch and horseback riding, which she loved. That afternoon, we ended up on my couch, heating things up again, but it was still just a heavy makeout session. We decided to keep seeing each other and see what happens. On Monday, I met with Julia, the lawyer Amy recommended. I told her my story and gave her all the evidence I had. Julia seemed disgusted with Lisa's behavior. She had been practicing for over 30 years, so I guess she had seen it all. We decided to file on grounds of adultery and abandonment. We asked for the house, farm, and everything associated with it. We had about $12,000 in savings, which we would split. I would keep the checking account balance. Lisa was already making her car payment, and her credit card was in her name, so those would stay with her. I paid her car and health insurance, and Julia instructed me to cancel both as soon as possible. Any joint credit cards, mostly gas cards with no balance, would be canceled. Julia had all my bases covered. We would only use the explicit photos and videos if necessary. Julia wanted to know when Lisa would be back from Paris. I told her it was supposed to be Thursday morning. I gave Julia the address Lisa had left me in case I needed to forward any mail. Julia said she would be served Thursday morning. She won't like the adultery part, but I think she'll agree to everything else. She seems happy with her new financial situation and wants the divorce done quickly so she can marry Greg. Julia said, I'll let her know we'll change the adultery part if she signs the papers as they are. It's just important she knows she cheated on you. It was around 10:30 a.m. on Thursday when my phone rang. I didn't have a class, so I answered it. It was Lisa, and she sounded upset. Jack, what the hell are these? Divorce papers? I just got served. I thought we agreed I would file for divorce. No, Lisa. I didn't agree to anything. I'm just trying to give you what you want as quickly as possible. What's this about adultery and abandonment? I thought we agreed on irreconcilable differences. Once again, Lisa, I never agreed to anything. Based on what you said, I think you can accept this settlement. You're about to be a rich man's wife. It'll change the adultery and abandonment to irreconcilable differences if you sign the settlement as is. Send me the revised copy, and I'll let Greg's lawyer look at it. If he's okay with it, he'll sign. I called Julia and told her about the conversation. It went just as she predicted. She already had the new papers ready to be sent over. I know Greg's lawyer, she said. As a corporate attorney with no experience in divorce. He'll probably blow it off and tell her to sign. Sure enough, Julia was right. Lisa signed the papers, and they were back in Julia's office by Friday afternoon. I stopped by and signed on my way home from work. In 60 days, the divorce would be final. I called Amy, and we agreed to meet for dinner near her new office. We had a nice dinner and talked for about 2 hours. She could tell I needed to talk about everything, and I did. We decided to take it slow, though we both were looking forward to spending time together. Later that night, Lisa called. Hi, Jack, she said. I just wanted to check on you, see if you're okay. I'm fine, Lisa. But you don't have the right to call me anything other than Jack. You hurt me pretty bad, but I'll survive. You got what you wanted, and unfortunately, I wasn't it. Jack, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I still love you and will miss you terribly. Yeah, whatever, Lisa. You probably saw in the settlement that I'll be canceling your car and health insurance. I'll wait until next Friday so you can arrange coverage. Thanks, Jack. Don't worry, Greg will take care of it. I'm not worried. Just letting you know. Well, I guess this is goodbye, Lisa. I hope you don't think I'm a terrible person for doing this. I just had to do what I had to do. Goodbye, Lisa. I hope you have a nice life with your new man. I hung up before she could say anything else. It was time to start my new life, and I had plans for Amy to be a big part of it. Amy arrived at my house on Saturday night at 6:00. She looked stunning, about 59, long blonde hair, shapely legs, and a figure that could stop traffic. She was wearing a cute little red dress that showed off her curves. My heart was pounding as I saw her. We had a nice dinner out on my deck, overlooking the farm. We had plenty of wine, too. We ate, drank, flirted, and talked for a couple of hours. Finally, she looked at me and said, "Cowboy, if you don't take me to bed soon, I'm going to explode." I picked her up in my arms and carried her to my bedroom. It didn't take long for us to enjoy each other's company. Over the next few weeks, Amy and I spent a lot of time together. I asked her to move in, but she said we should wait until my divorce was final. She still spent many nights in my bed. About 5 days before the divorce was final, I got a call from Tom. He said they were just about ready to bring Greg down. Everything Greg had or owned would be seized. They had enough evidence to send him to prison for a long time. What about Lisa? I asked. She'll be questioned, but she seems clean. She'll lose her sugar daddy, though. He won't have a pot to pee in when we're done. She's going to have a hard time, Jack. That's her problem, Tom. Jack, my sister is so happy with you. She was so down after her divorce. Is there a chance you two might get serious? I hope so, Tom. I love your sister, and I think she loves me too. I'll let you know when we move on, Greg. I bet you get a call from Lisa. It was Friday, and I was looking forward to my weekend with Amy. It was also the day I was officially no longer married to Lisa. On my way home from work, I stopped at a convenience store for some beer. Then, fate intervened. Lisa called. She wanted to meet for lunch. I asked Amy if she wanted to join, but she trusted me to handle it. Lisa and I met at a nice restaurant. I was shocked when I saw her. She'd gained weight and didn't look good. I'm sure the last few days had been rough on her. It had been all over the news, and her name was mentioned in connection with Greg. There were even rumors about her being his mistress. People stared and whispered as she walked in. We chose to sit outside, away from everyone, so we could talk. We started with small talk, but it wasn't long before she started to cry. Jack, I made the biggest mistake of my life leaving you. I realized it a few weeks after I moved in with Greg. At first it was fun, but the money got old fast. I wasn't happy, and I felt sick every time I had to be with him. I was not expecting this. I figured money was all that mattered to her when she left. Jack, I began to feel so guilty about what I'd done to you and Tina. Tina won't even talk to me anymore. You didn't deserve that. You were a good husband and a good provider. I had everything I needed. I just didn't realize it. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you saying that. But you did what you did because you weren't completely happy with me. I was happy with you, Jack. I let Greg seduce me with his money. The night before he was arrested, he made me do things I hated. He's a disgusting, perverted old man. I hope he rots in jail. Where is this going, Lisa? What do you want from me? She looked up with tears in her eyes. Please take me back, Jack. I love you and miss you terribly. I miss my home, the farm, the horses, and everything we did together. I'll do anything to make it up to you. Lisa, do you really miss me? Or is this because you have no money, no home, and no job? I'm broke, Jack, with nowhere to go. But I do miss you so much. I want things to go back to the way they were. Lisa, I told you when you walked out that door, it was final. There would be no turning back. I know, Jack, but I need you. I'm at the end of my rope. I have no one else to turn to. I'm sorry, Lisa. I've met someone else and we're in love. We'll get married someday, but we're in no hurry since we've both been burned. Lisa looked devastated, as if she'd been hit by a truck. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I guess she never thought I'd move on. She sat there crying, and I couldn't help but feel sorry for her. Yes, I had thought about revenge when she left, but now I just wanted to help her. Is there anything I can do to help you get back on your feet, Lisa? She looked up and said, I guess I was dreaming to think you'd take me back. I don't blame you. I wouldn't take me back either. If you could loan me some money until I find a job and get a place of my own, I'd appreciate it. How much do you need, Lisa? If you could loan me $6,000, I'll start paying you back as soon as I get a job. The waiter brought our food. Lisa started eating, but I wasn't hungry. I thought for a moment while watching her. I pulled out my checkbook, wrote a check, and handed it to her, folded up. Lisa, this should help you get a new start. You're a good assistant, so you should find a job soon. Let me know if you don't, and I'll see what I can do. I'm sorry it turned out this way. I wanted to grow old with you, watch our grandkids ride horses and be buried next to you, but I guess it wasn't meant to be. I got up and walked out of the restaurant, leaving a 100 bill on the table to cover the bill and tip. I glanced back as she opened the check. Her expression was one of disbelief. She looked up, still shocked. I had written her a check for $5,000. Ashley moved in and we were married the following spring. Tom was the best man, and Tina was the maid of honor. They had become best friends. We had a small wedding at a chapel in Las Vegas. We invited a few close friends and family. The reception was in our honeymoon suite, and everyone had a great time. I won over $250,000 on a slot machine, which I saw as a sign of good luck. Lisa wasn't invited, but she read about the wedding in the local paper. She found a job and a place to live, but she never paid back the money, and I didn't expect her to. Last I heard, she was dating a high school teacher. I hope it works out for her. Greg Williams was tried and convicted of federal crimes. Everything he owned was seized to pay back the money he defrauded from the government. He'll be spending a long time in federal prison. Maybe hell finds someone there to keep him company. A few years have passed since all of that went down. Ashley and I have built a wonderful life together. We're still living on the farm, and it's thriving more than ever. Tina graduated and started her teaching career. She's married now too, and we're proud grandparents. Life has come full circle, and I couldn't be happier. Every now and then I hear about Lisa. She ended up staying with that high school teacher she was dating, and they seem to be doing okay. I don't have any contact with her, and honestly, I don't miss her at all. She made her choices, and I've moved on. As for Greg, last I heard, he's still rotting away in federal prison, where he belongs. He didn't have anyone to bail him out, and from what Tom told me, he'll be in there for a long time. I don't waste any energy thinking about him either. Ashley and I have grown even closer over the years. We've built a life together that's filled with love, respect, and happiness. I never thought I'd find this kind of peace after everything that happened. But here I am, living it every day. In the end, life has a funny way of working things out. I thought losing Lisa would be the end of me, but it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. It opened the door to a new chapter, one where I found true love and happiness with a woman who values and respects me for who I am. I've learned a lot through all this. Life's too short to be with someone who doesn't appreciate you. Sometimes the hardest things we go through end up leading us to where we were always meant to be. I'm grateful for the life I have now, and I wouldn't change a thing. Thanks for watching this story of betrayal, loss, and ultimate redemption. What would you have done if you were in Jack's shoes? Would you have taken Lisa back or moved on like he did? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this. See you in the next video.